Hey now, everybody. Welcome to the Cardinals Stand Out in Your Career podcast hosted by Alumni Relations. I'm Nick Taylor, the Executive Director of Alumni Relations here at Saginaw Valley State University, and I'm very excited. I have two guests today, so it's the first time we pulled this off, so I'm ready for it. But we have Lex Hallberg and Sara Parker here. Ladies, could you introduce yourself a little bit and just tell our folks what you do for a career?
Well, as you said, I'm Sara Parker, and I am the Director of Workforce Development at the Bay Area Chamber of Commerce and with the Hay Bay City Initiative. So two-pronged approach here. With Hay Bay City, that is an award-winning talent attraction and retention initiative. It got started a couple years ago, and I work with job employers and job seekers to help connect the two. There's a whole litany of things that go along with that, but that's the main point of Hay Bay City. And then with the Bay Area Chamber, I run our business and education partnership as well as our minority business partnership. So those are my big roles, a lot of youth involvement and youth development.
My name is Lex Hallberg. I serve as the Assistant Director of Community Affairs here at Saginaw Valley State University through the Office of Governmental and Community Affairs, and it's exactly what it sounds like. So I assist in the governmental side of things with my boss, but I also am the bridge in the community for the university. So a lot of my work revolves around the chambers of commerce, the economic development organizations, and the other organizations that have partnerships with the university. So I'm the one you usually see out at the breakfasts and all the other fun stuff. So I love my job.
Yeah,
Awesome.
they couldn't have picked a better person.
Awesome. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about Chamber of Commerce, and specifically our podcast talks to alumni and helping them in their career. So for those that let's assume we have a large, we have over 55,000 alumni who are out there. Not everybody might be familiar exactly with what a Chamber of Commerce is. Could you explain a little bit about what the Chamber of Commerce is and what's its role in the community?
Yeah,
Sara?
absolutely. So good question. So a lot of chambers operate under the same guidance, but ours, I feel, and I'm not being biased, but ours stands out a little bit more with the extra step that we take to support businesses. At the end of the day, our Chamber of Commerce is here to support our business community because we believe that that's what's going to make our communities and our Great Lakes Bay region thrive. So advocacy support, resources, we have networking opportunities. It's just a really good way to get integrated into your community, whether you're a brand new business or someone who's been here for years looking to maybe reintroduce yourself. We just do a lot of help for businesses that maybe can't do it all themselves.
Awesome. Now, Lex, maybe you could talk about the university's role with these chambers and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the work that I do with Sara and the teams at all the chambers around us is how do we strengthen the workforce development pipeline? Because as a higher educational institution, we are direct access to new graduates going into their fields. And what better way to get our graduates into whatever field they're going into than by working with businesses directly? But we also use them as a sounding board as far as what are they seeing in the industries, what kind of degree programs do we need to be offering, what are gaps in the industries that the university can help address. So a lot of it is very back and forth. Hey, what do you need? Hey, what do we need? And I always like to joke that when you get Sara and I into a room together that we could probably solve world hunger if we give us an entire day.
I don't know if we have an entire day, but I like it. All right.
Maybe next week.
Okay.
Right. There you go.
Awesome. So why do you believe it's important, especially, we're talking to our alums, maybe alums who own their own business or are new professionals in the world. Why do you think it's important for them to reach out and join local chambers, be a part of it? What are some of the benefits that they can look forward to?
Yeah, we're seeing a trend in businesses and the community involvement that they offer that actually helps with employee retention to have that community focus. So one big thing I always say with the chamber is if you're a small business or even a large business looking to grow, networking and community involvement is one of the biggest things that we can offer. We have ambassadors that as you become a new member or a member that's maybe been there a while but doesn't know all of the benefits that you get offered through the chamber, we have ambassadors that are assigned that can help you walk through and figure out exactly, because it's not a cookie cutter. Every business isn't going to take advantage of every single value aspect of the chamber. But with our membership engagement, we are able to help kind of customize a plan for individuals and businesses to kind of walk through the chamber and let them know, hey, this would be a good fit for you. You'd be perfect for the business education partnership. Or we see really strong potential leaders in your business. Let's get them enrolled in the Leadership Bay County program. So just there's so many different benefits. It's kind of hard to go over them all in the time that we have. It's really customized to individual members. Honestly, we have really good team that sits down and goes over what would be most beneficial for each member.
Awesome. You talked a little bit about kind of that development, and you mentioned Leadership Bay County and some of these. Maybe Lex, this is a question for you. What are some of the things that you see from a university perspective? So looking through the lens of SVSU, and our alumni very well, what are some of the career growth opportunities that you think they can seek out in places like the Bay County Leadership?
Yeah, absolutely. So the easiest thing that comes to mind is the Young Professionals Network that all three chambers in our area can be a part of. So the Young Professionals Network, you have to be between, I
think it's 21 to 40.
21.
Oh, so I'm out. Okay, that's
sorry,
great.
Sorry.
Thanks. No.
There's other opportunities for you, though.
Perfect.
But specifically, those that are graduating, I think, as we know, 85% of our graduates stay in Michigan, and approximately 60 to 65, correct me if I'm wrong about that, stay in the Great Lakes Bay region. So programs like Young Professionals Network help that sense of belonging in our region. And as we know, one of our region's initiatives is keeping those students and that workforce here in the Great Lakes Bay. And Sara hit the nail on the head as far as the more you engage those around you, the more they're likely going to find that sense of belonging and want to stay. So a really strong partnership between the university and the Chamber of Commerce is, I think, a key aspect in that. So not only do we want our students to be a part of that, to find wherever it is they're going to go, but also there is a big initiative for the university young professionals themselves to be engaged as well. So through our office on campus, we actually pay for anybody within that age range to be engaged in whatever county they live in, whether
That's
that be
awesome.
Midland Bay or Saginaw.
Yeah.
You hear that, local alumni?
I know,
I'm just putting that point out.
Like, shameless plug.
Yes.
Come join us at our Energized Young Professionals Network.
If we can on the video feed, make sure we put the shameless plug out there. That would be perfect. It's not, though. And I think that's a great point, Lex. One thing that I'm always big about and want to make sure that our alumni know are what are some of the benefits that they have still staying in contact with the institution. And I think that is one of the things that is a big help, especially for young alumni who are just kind of starting out. People a lot younger than me along the way. So let's assume we're out there. We've got an alum who has reached out. Maybe they've started their own business. Maybe they're working for a business. They go out and they join one of the local chambers, any one of those, or even in their area, right? What's one piece of advice that both of you would give that person in order to really get the most out of their chamber membership? I've been to a lot of chamber meetings and a lot of chamber events, and I see some people who are obviously really getting a lot about it, and then I have a lot of people who are standing in the back and maybe sipping a cocktail or two. And so what would you tell folks how to get the most out of their chamber experience?
That is a really good question. I kind of have two different things. The first is be active. You're not going to pay for a gym membership. I mean, I'm guilty of this. Paying for a gym membership and never using it. That's not the premise of like you pay for a membership.
I love that metaphor. That is so perfect.
It kind of fails in this though because like I've done that.
Yeah.
But if you're going to pay for something, use it. Otherwise, it's a waste of resources. The other thing is network with a purpose. So I like to think of our networking events as work. It's fun. Don't get me wrong. I love networking. But at the base of that word is work. So I like to go through a directory to see who might be there and pick 5 people that at the end of the day, I'm going to know that I made a point to go meet these 5 people. Getting engaged and networking with a purpose are 2 of the biggest things that I can say would help you reap the full benefit from a chamber membership, no matter where you're at. Because you have to remember, these chambers have 700 plus members. Right. You got to make yourself known.
Yeah, and from me, piggybacks off a lot of what she said, but one piece I would like to add is stay curious. So my role working in community affairs is essentially to connect people. So at our last business education partnership meeting, I actually called Sara a couple days later, maybe. One of the panel members said that one thing that they were struggling with in their business was a specific, it was Dave. And he said,
specific certification.
yes, and most universities carry the network engineering, but there's not a lot of infrastructure side of it. I am not a techie, so I could be totally botching
I'm picking
this.
up what you're putting down. I got you.
But the physical infrastructure side of like the network and the tech piece isn't as common. And one of the closest universities or educational institutions that offers this is even out of state. So they struggle to find that piece in the workforce. So I was able to come back to the university, make a phone call to our Dean of Science, Engineering, and Technology, and basically ask him, hey, I don't know what I'm talking about, but this is what came up in the community that I'm hearing. Is this an avenue we could pursue to address something like this? He said, hey, I'm open to a conversation. So I was able to set up a meeting between said business owner and dean of one of our colleges to see how they could see how, if, and or when we could plug that degree program. So,
That gets me so excited. I have chills just hearing about that. I'm like, yay!
yeah, so stay curious.
Yeah, I like that.
In to both of your points, I think not that it's an obvious answer. You have to stay curious. You have to go and do the work of networking. I think the barrier a lot of time is folks come back and say, well, I'm an introvert. I don't want to put myself out there. I don't want to go and do that. What would you tell a young alum who's out there saying, yeah, that's great, but I don't want to be forced to go out and meet 5 people at a meeting. What would be the opposite side of that?
My big thing is try it. Start with that Young Professionals Network. That is a perfect way of all of these young professionals that are all nervous. You have to remember, this is a lot of their first time getting outside of their comfort zone. I'm a firm believer in, like, if it makes you uncomfortable, like, you're probably doing something right. So I know it's difficult for introverts. I'd like to think of myself as an introverted extrovert where I talk a lot, but it's because I'm uncomfortable. So, but if you are introverted, bring a friend, someone you're comfortable with. Young professionals, come visit us. Just come visit once, see if it's a good environment and it's a good vibe for you. If it's not, maybe there's a different opportunity that you feel more comfortable in.
Right.
Latch on to a friend.
I like it.
And that's such a good point too, because I go to all 3 counties, breakfasts and things of that nature, and I don't know one county as much as I know the other ones. So always, hey, I already know somebody in that room, hang out with them, or have them introduce you to somebody new that they think could be a good connection for you. So I know it's intimidating walking into a room of 300 people sometimes, but you don't have to walk around and shake hands with all 300 people. Find one person that you can genuinely connect with, and I think that makes that more digestible.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it is intimidating. Absolutely.
That's a great point. I think too. Sara, I kind of chuckled when you started there, not at what you said, but I was putting 2 and 2 together. One shared experience that all alumni have is we've all been freshmen at one point, right? And I equate going to a chamber event a lot like going to orientation, going to your first class, and there, everybody. One of the things that we teach, especially during Fresh Start, and that freshmen and alumni who are listening to this have all had that experience and have heard this, that everybody's going through the same thing. So reminding yourself that, yeah, I'm going to go and I'm going to meet those 5 people. Those 5 people are also going to come and meet me, and they're dealing with the same thing. And I think that is lost a lot on folks because we're so kind of self-centric in our thought as far as when it comes to the networking part of it. So, okay, so that's one area. That's the advice that we would give, right? What's a big mistake that you've seen that we always learn through failure. It's okay. But what are big mistakes maybe that folks make when they first join a chamber or join one of these programs?
I think going with the mentality of business card collection is a big mistake. You have to think about the follow-up after that. If you collect 15 business cards and you have a conversation with all 15, there should be some sort of follow-up with all 15. That's why I limit myself to 5 and maybe reach 3 of them because the conversations get going. But over collecting business cards, that's not what these events are about. Or the whole overpromise and underdeliver. Like I can absolutely do that, but maybe take a step back. So those are the 2 biggest mistakes I see.
One of the jokes we say in our office is don't become a potted plant. So when you go to a networking event or any other event, there are those people that show up to the event, go find a seat, and then sit down. That doesn't do anything for you, or they'll go get their plate and sit down and start eating and just wait for the program to start. But you're missing so much valuable networking time to be able to genuinely connect with somebody. So that is one of the biggest mistakes you can make, is showing up but sitting right down and not actively participating.
I like that idea of the potted plant. I go and sit, because you see folks who do that and they're put out. The other side is, the wallflowers, but I think potted plant's even the step beyond the wallflower, because they actually went and sat down. That's awesome. So, you mentioned a little bit about not being a business card collector. I love that, because I've been to a lot of the chamber events and you see that person who has 20 business cards. What's some advice that we can give our alumni in actually building like authentic relationships and authentic connections within the chamber, beyond the, hey, give me your business card, but how does that conversation start, and what should they be looking for in building an authentic relationship?
I think it kind of starts with knowing yourself or your business, what you are looking to get out of it, because not everybody's looking to get the same things out of a chamber membership or an association or a membership, right? So I think knowing first and foremost what you hope to get out of it. There are resources out there to utilize for like the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center. They can actually help you put together a strategic plan to figure out what you're about. So once you know what you're about, you can go out and start speaking to the businesses that adhere to that or that are in your target audience, basically. So I think knowing yourself would be the first step to being able to go out and actually make those meaningful relationships.
Sure. Lex, how about you?
Yes. So on top of what Sara said, I think being authentic, and I actually had this conversation with somebody else the other day, and especially with our political climate, not to go there, but I work in government affairs, so that's natural for me.
It's okay. We're there.
We live it every day.
And we see this a lot in politics right now, is you fundamentally disagree with somebody else and it automatically becomes about the person and not about the issue. But knowing how to show up authentically as yourself and being okay with that is really important. And not trying to force something that's not going to work, hand in hand with knowing what you need to get out of something.
And asking questions, too, is a big one. Like, we all, as much as we hate to say it, we like talking about what we do because we're passionate about it. So if you're scared to talk about your business, ask the other person. I don't really know what alumni relations is. Can you tell me a little bit more about like what your day-to-day looks like? I think asking questions, if you're uncomfortable, then you don't have to talk about yourself. You just listen to the other person.
Well, and I love that point. One of the things that we've learned, and we've had a speaker come in and talk about here at SVSU a lot, and some of our alumni will remember the name Aurel Moody. Aurel would come in our freshman convocation and talk about how to be likable. And if you think about the most likable person that you might not know a whole lot about them because they're always asking you about you in it. And so building those relationships, it starts with questions and do that. So let's do a little exercise. Sorry, impromptu.
Oh boy.
I want both of you. You're both professional networkers, right? And today we're helping alumni talk about the chamber and talk about networking. What are some of the questions that you use to get to know somebody new out at one of these networking events? What are some of those that you would ask me? Pretend we're meeting for the first time.
I kind of just did. I don't know what you do in alumni relations. Oh, I always say, Nick, what's your title? And then I go from there. I'm not really familiar with that. Can you tell me a little bit about that? And then what do you do in your free time?
Yeah.
Because that's a good way. Everybody, like we all have families, dogs, pets, whatever, fishing, hunting. That could be the bridge right there. That could be the gap right there, the bridge for the gap right there. So what do you do? Tell me a little bit more about that. Wow, that sounds like you have a lot going on. Do you have any free time, and what do you do in that free time?
Sure.
Those are two of my go-to.
I like it.
Yeah. Sarah nailed it. I can't think of anything different that I do.
I'm sorry.
You're stealing all my content.
I like it. I like it.
We'll let you go first now.
So I laughed. The first time you said, "What do you do in your free time?" My first thought was like, "What's free time?" But that's all right. That's awesome. That's how they go.
Yeah, but you don't have free time because you have children.
Right.
So what do they do in their free time?
And what did we start off the conversation with today before the podcast? We started talking about our kids.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I think it's, finding those authentic ways to network and connect with folks. It's a little bit about my advice to someone who's trying to build that is to open up a little bit about yourself. Not be afraid to talk about some of those things. Your children, your work, what's happening in your life, and being honest and authentic. We all know the person where you ask them, they're like, "Oh, I'm so busy," and it's great. And you're like, "Okay, yeah, all right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Tell us why. Tell us, those things." But awesome. So let's get back to talk a little bit about the Young Professionals Network and young professionals in general in the chamber. What role do you see young professionals, or really specifically some recent grads coming from SVSU, how do they play in shaping the future of our chambers? What can they do?
This is a really big question.
I know. I like to throw the big ones.
You do. So I want to pull from Lily, mostly because that's the one I'm the closest to. So halfway through the winter semester, I think it was, Megan, the president of the Bay Chamber, reached out to me and was like, "Hey, we're desperate for somebody to do event work for us. Do you know of any grads that have recently graduated or somebody about to graduate?" And I was like, let me make a phone call. So I called over to our conference and event center. I was like, "Kristen, do you have anybody?" And she goes, "Actually, I do." So I made the connection with the conference center in the Bay Chamber, and they ended up with an amazing student. Her name is Lily West. And she was able to work part-time for them until she graduated. And now that she graduated in May, she's full-time with them.
Shout out, Lily. I know you're out there listening. That's awesome.
Love her. She's such a sweetheart.
That's awesome.
Again, it's just building those connections, I think, is really important, because you've heard of the butterfly effect, where one small thing happens, but it could change the trajectory of a lot of other things. So I think small intentional connections like that can add into something really meaningful.
I'm going to get in trouble because I forgot the question. My mind started going on collaboration efforts. I'm sorry. I started thinking about collaboration, and now the question went out of my brain.
No, that's awesome. I was asking, talking specifically to young alumni, recent grads, what role do they have in kind of shaping the future of the chamber? What should they be looking to do?
Oh, and to add to that, so I think I've veered off topic a little bit, but I think young grads can really push the status quo. We've had this conversation before about how sometimes businesses can get very stuck in their ways and like, well, this is how I've always done it, so this is how we're always going to keep doing it. But the younger generations really come in and push those thought processes. And one thing I really love about my boss was the very first week, he was like, "I've been doing this for 20 years, so if you see something that needs to be changed or somewhere we can improve," he was like, "let me know." Because the older you get, the more like focused in. So young grads can really bring that fresh perspective, and especially in rapidly changing industries.
Absolutely. I think you totally hit the nail on the head. And this might not help answer the question, but you made a really good point. Conversely, as we're welcoming these younger generations into our workforce, our older generations have to work to be accepting and that intergenerational communication. We really need to work on that from both sides. A lot of times we say, like, young people need to learn how to communicate. Well, maybe our older generations need to learn how to communicate in an effective way to our younger generations. So it sounds like your boss and like my boss, they welcome that fresh perspective. And I know it sounds cliche, but our children are our future. I don't know about you guys, but I'm working really hard to try to make a lasting impact. I don't want my work when I'm ready to go to fall to the wayside. I want someone ready to pick it up and make it better. and skills expire. Once a skill someone passes on, that skill is gone unless our older generations impart that on our younger generations.
I love the way you said that. And I think one of the things too, when you talk about this intergenerational, as a very, very stereotypical Gen Xer, okay, I watch the boomer generation, millennials, Gen Z kind of all interact in going through. I think one of the strengths of chamber networking, as opposed to just trying to network on your own within your business out there in the community, is the fact that the chamber brings everybody in. And you get a chance to interact with folks who are VPs or presidents of their company and have been there for 40 some odd years. I can name a few that I've talked to at chamber events. And then you also get the chance to see that fresh new face, someone who's just graduated college starting their career, and it puts everybody in the same room for the first time. And I think that's something that's unique to chamber networking as comparison to trying to network even within your own organization. So that would be my plug.
Yeah, absolutely.
Never thought about it that way, but that's an excellent
I was
point.
just, as you were saying that, I'm like, yeah, there's been so many times I'm like mid-conversation with someone and then realize I'm talking to the CEO of this giant company that's in the Great Lakes Bay region, and they do business internationally. And I've just been talking about my dog with this person. So I never really thought about that, but we do get to get in the room of some very influential and role models type people as well.
And how amazing we have an organization that's able to do something like that.
Yeah. Well, steal it. It's okay. Use it every. Put me on the, not me, but put it on the billboards, whatever you need.
It's all collaboration.
I think that's one of those. I think that's one of those areas. And also what I appreciate in those conversations is it is about business and it's about learning from each other. It's not necessarily about trying to win over something in there. It's an authentic way to do it. And if you know anything about authentic leadership, that is the way that you do win, is by being open and doing that. Well, we're getting close to the wrap-up time, so we always end our conversation with the toughest question. You ready?
I'm not prepared.
Okay, good. I don't want you to be prepared. Based on all of our conversation, I want you both to kind of take a second and think. I want you to picture an alum out there from SVSU, someone who is not involved with the chamber yet, who is hearing this for the first time and saying, okay, yeah, it sounds like something I should probably do that would really help my career. What is your one biggest piece of advice for that person? If they were sitting in my chair, what would you tell them? Whether it's how to get involved, how to reach out, what's the takeaway from this entire conversation we're having?
Just reach out to me. If you're in Bay County or in the Great Lakes Bay region and you want, I'm being completely honest with this. If you really want to come and join and see what it's all about, you can totally reach out to me personally. I will walk you around and introduce you to people in a way that you're comfortable with. Reach out. That is my biggest thing. We're not going to come to you. You have to come to us. And once you come to us, we will help you take those steps. Honestly, Sara at baycityarea.com. Shoot me an email. We have an eye-opener this Friday. Come on over. Yeah. We'll walk you around and show you what it's all about.
I love it.
I think for me, the importance is the opportunities and the connections you can make. So without the connections, those doors for opportunity won't open for you. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I get from it, because I wouldn't get to work on these really, really incredible projects that we consistently get to do together. And those opportunities would not have happened had I not been in the position where I am, like engaging authentically with those around me.
Yeah, understanding the value of authentic engagement is paramount to this.
Awesome. Well, what I'm hearing from both of you, let me recap. I'm hearing, you got to get over that fear. You've got to be able to put yourself out there and willing to do that. But once you do, and once you make that leap, we'll call it a leap. I don't think it's that big of a leap. Once you take that step, and you're able to authentically go in and network at a chamber event and work with different organizations and different chambers, there's a lot more potential out there for folks, and that we don't realize, and that the worst case scenario is not reaching out and not finding something. The worst case scenario is just not reaching out and never giving it a chance. So that would be my plug out there for our alumni to get involved. Sara and Lex, thank you so much for being here. I hope you had fun.
I did. I definitely did. Always, yeah.
I love it. And for those of you out there listening, this has been the Cardinals Stand Out in Your Career podcast, presented by Alumni Relations. A lot of fun things coming up. If you get a chance, please visit us at svsu.edu/alumni. We are always putting on events, things for you, and excited to show you ways in which you can stay connected with the institution. That's our goal. That's our mission and vision for our office, is to make sure that we act as the bridge to connect alumni to SVSU. Have a great day. Remember, it's always a great day to be a Cardinal. Thank you.